Just checking everybody's phones are on silent. Wonderful. Obi, when you're settled, calm me down.
Yeah. Cool. Rolling in 3, 2.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Relebogile Mabotja podcast. Of course, you're on my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, do so. Hit the notification bell so that you can be the first to know when we're having cool conversations with cool people. And today's person is quite a cool person, and I'm so excited that she's joining us, Gigi Lamayne. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm such a fan of the pod.
Oh my God.
I'm such a fan.
So I have to kick off by trying to recall just when last we saw each other. But I have to share a memory with you.
Yes.
So I had this vision when I was producing Afro Cafe and musical directing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need like these women that are rapping, and I want it with a live band, right? And I remember that was the first time I truly got to experience your music. And I remember saying to the team, she doesn't just rap, she sings. She sings like, not like sings like the talk singing, she actually sings. And then I was like, and she educated. And she educated.
Oh, stop.
I have to say, that was the first impression that I have of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are going to grow into such a fine artist. And I know that at the time, when we were doing this, you were already kind of in your zone. But I feel like you have grown so much as an artist.
So much.
Really have.
I actually remember Afro Cafe. I was extremely nervous about that also because I remember there was like a band.
Yes.
And I think with hip hop artists, we always get nervous around it. But I think the one superpower you kind of have over everybody is spoken word. And I remember kind of like sneaking that in with the MD at the time.
Yes.
And using that for quite some time on my social media as well. So shout out to you guys for putting me on for that one.
Oh my gosh.
I had a lot of fun on Afro Cafe. Yeah, I remember.
Look, I just feel like it was such a great platform, and I'm a jazz lover, and I'm a purist at that when it comes to my love of jazz, which that show started out as being. But I was like, why can't we have live music for them rappers? Right. So people, and I'm not sure if they know this about you, like that how you started out with your craft in terms of the poetry, but I'm curious, like, were you always doing that at school?
Actually, I was. So I had my first poem published at the Poetry Institutes of Africa.
Nice.
I think I was 10 or 11 at the time. And my English teacher kind of picked up that I really, really loved creative writing, specifically poetry. So I was given a homework assignment one day, went home, came back, it got marked, and I think she thought I had plagiarized. So she kind of kept me in at break and asked me to write something else about spring. I remember the first one was about Valentine's Day, and then the next one was about spring.
What did you say about Valentine's Day?
It was cute. Like, Valentine's Day I love so much. It's a day when lovers can keep in touch. You know, some people say Valentine's Day is bad. And so, you know, like 10-year-old stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and then she kept me in, and I did another one for spring. And she called my mother. And at the time, my mom was doing nursing in the UK.
Yeah.
She said, I really, really want to develop your daughters. There's something weird here. And I really, really want to develop her. And so she, kept me in my wall, of course, during break time, where I'd be like constantly just writing poetry. And we submitted to the Fairy Tale Moon anthology at the Poetry Institute of Africa. And I guess that was the first of its kind. I mean, I was 10. I didn't really know much about words, but I've always been able to like put them together really fast.
Was the Poetry Institute of Africa the one where they published a book every year?
Yes.
I was also in
Really?
that.
Were you? So literally, that's where it all began.
Oh my God.
That's where it all, that's crazy.
I still have a copy because we had to submit, I'll tell you what I remember is that we were submitting poems, and then our English teachers would just
gather them.
And the one poem that I did was about township sounds.
Wow.
And I was just describing how like you're always hearing noise. If it's not the tavern owner and him his band rehearsing.
Then
it was the rats in the ceiling, or gunshots, and like just about living in Soshanguve. But how I didn't make it negative. I spoke about how like there's something comforting about those sounds. And now we fast forward where there's a silence about the burbs, which is scary. I don't know if that makes sense.
We're
used to
does.
noise.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to it now, but there was a time where I was like, it's too quiet. Yes. No one's like randomly ringing the bell or that noise. I think that is so dope.
Yeah.
In terms of that period in your life when mom was abroad, I mean, how did you deal? I have 2 other friends whose moms did their nursing in the UK because there were such great opportunities. And I know they absolutely struggled just for the period they were in their lives of your mother not physically being there with you. How did you cope with that, and who was in the house at the time?
Absolutely, I was 8. I was 8 when my mom left to work in the UK, and I was brought up by everyone. So I couldn't have moments around Mother's Day that were ordinary. Mine were phone calls, sometimes letters. I knew how to like put the stamp on the letter at the time. And then
for those of you that don't know, we didn't have internet on that level back then. So there was no FaceTime and video calls.
And you had to sort of buy the stamp to send off to the Queen at the time. And it really did. I struggled a lot. But I find that now in hindsight, there's a lot more, how would I say, independence.
Yes.
Because I was used to mommy not always being around there. Funny enough, I am a mama's baby. Yes. I'm the last born. Absolutely adore my mom. She's such a kind and gentle spirit.
Yes.
But I think it just taught me like independence and kind of how to maneuver through life on my own. Not a very easy one. I had many times where I missed my mom. There was a bit of boarding school as well.
Yeah.
So while you're being taught independence, it was a very painful exercise seeing everyone getting fetched from school. And you have to like stay behind because your mom's not there. And then you're sitting and you're waiting for that phone to ring. And you're hoping they're going to say, Genesis, your mom's on the phone. So I think in hindsight, it did help me. I had to grow up super fast. But I'm grateful that it happened in hindsight.
Yeah. In terms of how you got your name, what is the story you were told?
Yeah.
And now that you are this age, why do you think that name is called?
So funny enough, my big brother's Michael. His name is Michael. And they thought that I was going to be a boy.
Yes.
So they were going to name me Stephen, as in like the archangel. So there's Michael, there's Gabriel, there's Stephen, and. And when they found out that I was going to be a girl, Stephanie would have been the other option.
Yes.
But we already had a Stephanie who was my older cousin.
Yes.
So they opted for Gabriella. But at the time, my parents were going through a very turbulent time in the marriage. So my dad struggled a lot with alcohol. And at the time of the pregnancy and just after I was born, he had vowed to, start afresh. So Genesis was going to be the beginning of a new era in their marriage.
Wow.
And that's how I got the name. Unfortunately, they are divorced. They didn't make it.
Yes.
But now, come to think of it, I think maybe it was just like the genesis of a legacy for women in our family. I think my mom has done really well. She super humble beginnings, one of the poorest villages in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
She met my dad in SA. They got married, had us, and looking back at how difficult her life was, I think Genesis is now befitting. But before I absolutely hated it because I was like, he failed the test though. I was supposed to be the Genesis of, but I'm grateful still. I think it definitely speaks to the lineage of amazing women in my family and how much they've gone through.
Because I think Genesis, outside of what we know it is in the Bible, in itself just sounds like a powerful name. And people obviously use it in relation to the first or
creation.
All of those. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you speak about dad, what is your guys' relationship now, and how did the divorce impact you? Or were you too young to even remember when they divorced?
I remember. It was a very abusive marriage. It was a very toxic marriage. He loved us very much, but I think just being with, he was a young soldier who was conscripted at the age of 17. Yeah. So he, now knowing what I know, he is a very traumatized being. He was a very traumatized being. I can't imagine what he had seen at 17 based off of just some of the stories he had told us. So I've had to, over the years, forgive him. Funny enough, I was telling my current partner about how daddy issues are a very, very serious thing, because your dad is the first person you fall in love with. And I had seen him fail so many times, not just my mother, but us. And walking into a world where there are all types of boys coming from all sorts of backgrounds. Yeah. You're not really sure how to love, because the foundation that has been set was a very toxic one. So there are lots of things that I had to unlearn, but with the unlearning came a lot of forgiveness. So I am able to, pick up the phone now, speak to him. He always forgets my birthday. I always remember his, but I love him. And there's, something he always said, even in the toxicity of all, of everything, I'm your father, you can't change it. Yeah. And I just have to love him the way he is. I have to understand how painful his past was, and I have to forgive him for myself.
And I think, what you're touching on, I'm sure many people will be able to relate.
Absolutely.
The part of, for me, I think maturity is meeting people where they're at, loving them where they're at. When did you make that conscious decision? Because I'm sure as a teenager, I know with myself, there was a lot of anger, and also being a creative, there were not enough outlets for everything I was feeling. But now with what you're saying of you guys speak on the phone, you still remember his birthday. When did you make that decision to say, okay, this is who this man is. I still want him in my life, so I'm going to meet him where he's at?
I think just the idea that, if things remain the way they are, he's going to die not feeling that he had the opportunity to say what he needed to say to me. And I was going to live with the silent guilt of knowing that I didn't give him the platform to do that. So by the time I met him, I understand my dad was always a very aggressive, fighting kind of spirit. And with meeting him on this particular occasion that I decided to meet up with him, he was very different. He was very different. I got the apologies, I got the sorries. And they had to be enough for me, for my own peace, they had to be enough for me. I think the one thing that I really enjoy about that conversation was him saying, I love your mom. I loved your mom. I messed up. This is who I am. I'm fighting this addiction. It's not easy. I saw my family fall apart, and whether you like it or not, I'm your father, we have to kind of figure this out. And it was at no point manipulative, and it's kind of, you're looking at this man, you have vivid memories of your childhood sitting around a fire in Makaya, and he was the one singing, not Uma. And now I'm in music. And I used to look at him over the fire, I'm wow, everyone is singing after him, And I think that's when you understand that the DNA conversation is a real one that we can't run away from. Yeah. So there are some beautiful things that I've learned to take from him, and you can't reverse it. It's done. But the one thing I can do is to make sure that for me and for where I'm going and for my future relationship or whom I decide to settle with, that is not going to be the case. Yeah.
How did you, if you did, find the courage to forgive him?
I don't know.
Are you still working on it?
I mean, no. I've actually forgiven him. I've forgiven him so much so that I know when he's messed up, he forgot my birthday, but chances are when I call him, uzoba uso, I just know it.
So you must put a reminder in your calendar to say, remind
Dad
Papa to wish you happy birthday.
You understand? Like,
yes.
I've learned to laugh at it. It's such a serious. Who said that? Which comedian said laugh at my pain? I literally live on that now. I mean, with my team, with everybody, I've just learned to laugh at the moomishes and the bad things. And I also think it was with finding God, finding spirit. And I'm so glad that, I mean, it's one thing trying to find, but I think it located me in the noise and in everything I was kind of going through. And I think it also locates you in your self-accountability.
Yes.
When you look back and you're like, ish, I could have done that differently. I didn't need to do that. Finding the courage, I think, was literally forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And I take that very seriously.
And I also think, and the thought just crossed my mind right now, sometimes a person, it's not that they forgot your birthday, and I'm just using this as an example. It could be that a person knows it's your birthday and they're staring at their phone trying to figure out where to even begin.
Yeah.
You know, just to even do the whole. And then I know some people who are overthinkers. They'd be like, okay, I need to say, oh no, but I don't have a present. Maybe, no, but I should be taking cake. And then they end up just not doing it because they catch themselves in this thing of like, do you get what I mean?
I didn't even think of it like that. But yeah, but probably. I think it's also an embarrassment thing, right?
Yeah, the shame that comes, where do I start? Because even if he's at a certain place in his life where he's like, okay, I'm ready to be a different person. It's the understanding of the sobriety, that the clarity that comes with sobriety. And I'm not just talking alcohol. When your mind is clear and you understand the consequences and the gravity of them, it becomes difficult to now face the person. Whereas you and I as little girls know, can you just say happy birthday?
Yeah,
I don't need a present, I don't need a cake. But maybe for them, they're like, okay, what could I do to, okay, let me just do nothing because it's too much. And I think they're all human beings that are like that.
Genuinely like that, yeah. He is, yeah, he could be an overthinker actually. I need to find out if, it's the reason why you didn't call me because, but love him nonetheless,
How do you guys connect with music now? Because obviously you are well into your career. He is fully aware of, you know, not just who you are, what you represent. Is there a connection there? Has he ever been like, you know, this song, this one is the one I love?
My dad is more tabloid. Like my dad is more tabloid. My dad's like, I saw something on the front page of, so you're doing this. You know what? Do what you need to do, you know? Everything about him musically is a distant memory, I think, for me. So from, you know, Soul Brothers to UB40 to Bob Marley to, it's all just a distant memory. But I prefer that. I prefer that because the distance that it's created, I don't know, music made my dad look better to me. You know, just me sitting in the back of his car and him playing, I think just that memory of us singing along, I think that's where we connected. So I don't know where that would leave me now as like a grown woman who, you know, but surely maybe we should try and do some karaoke together or something one day, you know. Or
maybe he's just in the studio while you're recording or at a gig, and I know
he's gonna ask for a drink.
Oh my God! Is he in recovery?
I think that's just something I've learned to make peace with. I think, no, that's not happening.
Did that ever change your relationship with alcohol for yourself?
Yes, and very late. Hey, actually, you know, coming into an industry where this thing is like everywhere all the time. There's always like a sponsor. There's always like somebody going in on it. It definitely did. I mean, right now I'm the ambassador of a particular brand.
Yes.
But funny enough, I don't engage. I went through my varsity days where I enjoyed a whole lot of shots and going out with my friends and doing the fishbowl and all the unhealthy stuff that makes you sick the next day. But I definitely have kind of slowed down quite a bit To be fair, I don't know if it's age. It's just not the same when you wake up in the morning. Like,
listen, there are people I know it takes them that are in their 40s. It takes them 3 days to recover.
You understand?
3 days.
Now I've lost a whole 24 hours trying to nurse myself when I could be doing something better. So for me, I think I didn't slow down on that because of him per se, but it was more just because of me, and I'm just losing too much time hanging over, like getting over it. Like it just takes too long. Whereas some of the people in my team are in their like 20s and they just like keep going, and I'm just like, guys,
I'm good.
Like I'm done. Like I can't.
Do you remember? It must have been a good couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Me coming to your house.
I do remember you coming to my house, yeah.
Do you want to share with everybody what you remember? Then I'll tell you what I remember.
So I was going through a very bad time, I remember. Something very scary happened to me. And yeah, like I think that was probably one of the things that changed my life forever, where I really, really had to start the healing then. I was a very broken little girl. I mean, I came into the industry quite young, and that's why I'm so passionate around artist development and big brothers and big sisters in the industry, just as you had extended your hand to me. And looking back now, it's just all so vivid. But I do remember I was really scared of life. I was really scared of living.
I think, listen, all the years become a blur. At the time, you were in a public relationship with somebody who also is out there. And I don't know what happened, but I know that I saw your tweet and something in it was like, no, something's not right. It wasn't like outright, I'm suicidal, but it was something that was off. And I remember picking up the phone and I called Sheila Fari and I said, ma'am, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And I don't even know for the life of me what was like, okay, chase this girl. And then I remember we got hold of your mother and at some point we went to the hospital to see you. And at the time, Sheila and I went, we just dropped everything, went to the hospital. And at the time, we couldn't see you, but we wrote you a letter.
I remember.
And then we met with your mom. And then afterwards, when you were back home, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, we decided we're gonna do a little care package for you.
Yeah.
And I just know we got a whole bunch of stuff and put it together. And we came to your house to see you. And I don't know what it was, because at that time we were not close. We had met each other in work circles, but something in me was like, go reach out to this poor young woman who, I don't know, and maybe it is a big sister thing that I was feeling. And, you know, we came to your house and I was so happy to see you being okay. And I don't know, it was just something about that moment that like made me have this soft spot for you. And also I just remember at the time, there were conversations around the fact that you were being abused, which I was like disturbed. Because I couldn't understand how this beautiful, young, talented woman whose like star is rising found herself in that situation. And of course, this is in no way putting any responsibility on you, but to say like, what a shame that that's the case. And I really hope that what we did made a difference.
Absolutely,
of sorts,
I'm here.
Of sorts, you know. What was going through your mind? And because it's not the same for everybody, when you were like, I want this pain to end, I'm ending it all.
I think life just felt like too much of a movie. I was just not at peace in so many different ways. And I have to take accountability by saying that, you know, like my upbringing, not having really much of a, you know, a great dad, like him being there, but kind of like being absent sometimes and not knowing how to maneuver around it. It's so true that like people don't understand how important it is for kids to grow up in good environments. And I think I carried that turmoil. I mean, I was bullied at school, you know, so that other stuff that happened that my partner addressed on a podcast wasn't new to me. But my life honestly felt like such a movie, and I was just tired of it. I was just tired of having seen my mom go through what she went through and kind of fall into the same cycle, and then it's like just a constant battle with life. And I made the mistake of coming into an industry where I really just wanted to make music. I often look at like Daft Punk and what's the girl's name? Sia.
And how they conceal their identity.
Why didn't I just put a paper bag on my head? Why didn't I just put a paper bag on my head? But I do realize that I just had to go through it, really. I had to meet the amazing people I've met in the industry. It's such a true thing when they say, like, family is not always blood. And I felt that through different energies in the industry. And I had to get into the industry to find people to help me heal. So the worst part was just picking people apart and deciding who was where. But I kid you not, like, the healing came from, yes, my family, but they're amazing people that I've met here. Yourself, Sheila, so many people that I could name who contributed to putting me back together. So in as much as, you know, there's this big thing about, oh, the industry like tears you apart, I felt the one side, but I felt a good side too, you know, and I feel like, you know, it's my chance, I guess, every chance I do get to be to someone else what you were to me.
Yes. You know? Oh, man.
So, yeah.
For all the young ladies or ladies that are watching that are stuck in situations that are challenging their mental health, and by situations I mean specifically intimate partner relationships that might be toxic, abusive, what would you say to them that they maybe need to do or consider for them to be able to have that courage to walk out?
You can get up. Like, there's life beyond the person. There's life beyond, you know, the crazy things that are happening, you know, externally to you. I think fighting for peace is such an important thing. And sometimes it's just a silent one where you remove yourself from the noise and you take time to heal. You know, I literally, thinking back at the friends I had then and the friends I have now, completely different people. I'm just thankful that I took accountability by looking at my environment and deciding that I needed a change. And there's life beyond that environment. I think when you're in it, you think this is it, this is the end, I'm useless, I'm nothing. And all these traumas from your childhood also come into play. I think it's very important for us to really strive for like peace for self. For me, I'm so big on peace. Yeah. And if it doesn't serve as peace, then I don't want none of it.
So your partner, who I've also had the honor of working with a few times.
Yes.
What a darling. When that incident happened, prior to him going to address it, did Sizwe say to you, listen, don't do nothing, I'm going to deal with it, or he just went?
You know, he actually didn't tell me.
He didn't tell you?
He didn't tell me. I was shocked.
For real?
I was shocked. I was so surprised. But I understand why he didn't. You see, we just spoke about peace. Yes. So chances are he knew I would have said, no, don't go there. Like, just ignore it. I've been going through this my whole career. It's always like, oh my gosh, she's so talented, but she's not pretty enough. You know, that's always been a thing. And I've gotten so desensitized to that. Don't worry, babe, like, it's fine, it's whatever.
So people actually say to you, you're talented, but you're not pretty enough?
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that so many times. I don't know. I guess for, I don't know, ancient Greece. I don't know. Chiseled faces and noses. I don't know.
So you would have said, leave it.
Yeah, just leave it. Like, I've gotten so used to it. You know, it's kind of like, oh, I even got used to it. Oh, she can sing, but she can't dance. You know, like, I just got used to it. You know, so when he addressed it, I think the desensitization kind of wore off. Where I was like, actually, this has been a problem. and they were doing it to me, and I got used to it, you know. He was very, very upset. I mean, he's got daughters, he's got a sister he loves very much, he's got a mom, he's very close with my family. So seeing that being said and just part of daily banter, I think genuinely just got to him. And beyond just being my partner, he's honestly my best friend. So even when it happened, we kind of did get a bit emotional about it, but I didn't know he'd take it to the top like that.
So like, when did you see the clip for the first time?
I was with my manager, and we were driving to the workplace, and then people started calling, and they were like, "Yo, check social media," and there he is, like. When was this day? Now, like, her and I tried to put together, like, when was this day? Oh yeah, he was wearing that, you know, and he never said anything. He was cool that day, like, he was super fine. So when I saw that, I was, how me, you know, and then I called him and he's like, nah, I was just tired, you know, and for him it wasn't anything. It really, really wasn't anything. And the fact that he would do that again for me, like, I am so thankful, because that level of step up, like, you know, some girls say, he bought me a car, he bought me a house. Like, he stood up for me in front of the whole country.
Yeah.
Like, listen, you can't buy that.
You speak about the fact that, you know, you have been torn to pieces in the industry. What are some of the things you do to keep yourself sane? Because, I mean, I think a part of you, like you said, you get a bit desensitized, but you do have human moments when you want to say, like, yeah, you have, because I mean, you know, where you like, it's like I see nothing.
Yeah,
like,
I get you.
Don't see me looking polished.
Yeah, like
how do you deal with it? Because, I mean, you are now more than 10 years.
Yeah, I just hit 10 now. Ice Cream was dropped 10 years ago, yeah.
So you're 10 years in, right?
April 10, yes, April 10. Yeah,
oh my gosh.
April, this time of year, let's say.
So 10 years in, and you still are a human being with feelings. What are you doing now, because you've seen what the dark side looks like, to maintain this peace that you say you fight for? Other than being shocked that your man's is like, yeah, what were you saying? Justify it.
You know what? I'm going to say thank goodness for algorithms, because my algorithms have completely changed. Like, when I get onto social media, I see nice, cute, fluffy dogs. I see, like, funny pranks. You know, I see A$AP and Rihanna walking and just, like, being so beautiful in their lovey-dovey situation. So I think, for one, that has, like, dealt with the issue to a certain extent. I've changed, you know, environments, and I've just really started controlling my social media. I think social media is the one thing that was, like, really messing me up, where now I don't even see anything. For some reason, I think my management work as magicians, and if there's, like, a weird comment, it just, you know, disappears or whatever it is. But I think genuinely, like, beyond the social media situation and having to physically control that, everything was just like a mental and a psychological thing, where I have friends who like doing nice things like tea and going out to eat food, nice food, and I'm now a church girl, so I really appreciate Sundays.
Can we please talk? You got baptized.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
What led you to making that decision?
I think we come from a very, like, African home, but God has always been above everything. So beyond, like, you know, other things that would happen, my mom always wanted to make sure that I got baptized when I was ready to. So it was not like you're not aware of what's going on. You need to understand what you're saying and when you're saying it. And I just had to be ready for it, you know. So a lot of studying, understanding the word, understand that I'm a convent girl. So the fact that I still wasn't baptized means that God had to have a fight with me, like, spiritually, until I realized that I was ready to take that step. So it just, for me, like I say, he just found me. I just found myself listening to things, reading certain things, which are also part of my algorithms.
Yes.
And like, apart from that other guy, like, God is the love of my life. Like, he saved me. He saved me. Genesis makes sense, of course, you know.
I almost
True to
feel like
his word.
that was kind of a full circle moment for you.
Absolutely. He's been so good to me. I've escaped death, adversities, social fates. You know, when I look around, this is the best version of my story that they could have been, you know, and I'm so glad that it comes into fruition when I am ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm ready to say, like, thank you. You know, those times that were really, really tough, I saw you come through for me, you know, and I'm by no means going to be out here like posting every 5 seconds about God and, you know, but I can't wait for whoever's like watching this to feel what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. It's such a beautiful feeling.
The energy about you is so different, like in such a positive way. The best way I'd be able to describe you is lighter. You feel a lot lighter. Your energy, your aura is like in hues of yellows and orange. It is light.
Thank you. I like yellow.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I like yellow.
For a second, can I be a girl and be like, okay, girl, you got a man? Mm-hmm. You got a... Because I think I saw something with you being like, my man.
Like, yeah.
So the reason that I genuinely fully believe that you are so invested in this relationship is that you didn't refer to him as your boyfriend. You didn't refer to him as your man. You said, my partner.
Absolutely.
What does having a partner mean to you?
It means that when I get annoyed, I communicate calmly.
Yes.
It means that I am willing for him to teach me as much as he, you know, as much as he is willing to learn from me. It's definitely putting the past behind us, you know, understanding that we have pasts, but we're looking to the future. We're led by Spirit, we're led by God. And that person just becomes your best friend in every way. I've never been in a situation where my partner endorses and supports me the way I've always felt that I have supported in the past more. And finally, it's almost like we're competing to love each other. And that is such a nice feeling because he sent me something funny enough this morning that was like, I know you get annoyed that I over love you because sometimes it's just like
can I breathe?
Yo, and even when he lets me breathe, he'll be like hi, and it's just like you know. But I wouldn't have it any other way because I know I am the person. Like a few days later, I'm that girl. Like
yes,
you know. It's just we're so evenly yoked, and I can't wait for what the future holds because I genuinely feel like I've met my best friend, and I don't want to jinx it, but
yes,
we'll see.
There was a time when you guys started working together and then there were rumors. Now when I think he's the one who said we're not dating. Was he lying? Like were you guys genuinely
we were on the couch sitting together, like management, everybody was there. Everyone was just like, guys, we're gonna deny both teams. Like both our working teams. We're all like, we're gonna deny.
What was the reason you wanted to deny then, and what made you say, you know what? We're doing this.
He messed up with the podcast. Like we were going to be besties until like it was just going to be a theory.
Oh, so he confirmed the relationship on the...
Yes.
I thought it was confirmed prior.
I don't know, was it? No. It wasn't like full out. It was just like, oh, it's my bestie. We're working together. But that kind of like, oh, so you were dating. Yeah.
So did you feel relieved that it was out and you didn't have to hide anymore?
I won't lie. I was very wary. I was very worried. I was very, very concerned. I always feel like the more people know, the more the devil kind of concocts to come and destroy, you know.
So you're more vulnerable to...
Absolutely, because now everybody knows, right? And then there are all these weird DMs, like I'd show him my DMs, he'd show me his, and, you know, so it was like this very uneasy feeling before even. But weirdly enough, after coming out, people were in support. we got very, very nice DMs, like from people, you know, we got people telling us about their relationships and how they're doing this. And then we obviously had the song basically out as well, where people were doing cute videos. So I was like, yo, this has to be God ordained. Like, you know, there was no drama post that podcast situation.
Yes.
Just a whole lot of the industry coming together to say, this makes sense. I know you and I know you, like, you know, so I guess, you know, with some like relationships, you really need to put it in God's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I also say to a lot of the single girls, because there have been weird things like people saying, yo, I'm a prayers. Like, you know, like I'm a prayers. I'm a template. And I just think, yo, ladies, I kid you not, like when it locates you, it'll locate you. You know, I really prayed for him. I prayed for a healthy relationship because I'm somebody who loves. I love dearly. So meeting someone who, like I said, like you compete for that love, like, I got you muffins, well, I got you scones. Like, it's so nice. So nice.
I am very happy that the two of you have found that in each other. Now, how do you manage? Because we often talk about, single moms, How do you manage being the woman in the life of a man who is a dad?
Yes.
And has children with other women where that relationship will still continue? Because a lot of the narratives are like an evil stepmom and all of those things.
Yeah.
How have you been navigating those spaces?
So my mom was a stepmom to children who had their own mothers.
Yes.
So this is quite relative for me. But I've always maintained that, like, it's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I'm not here to mother anyone. You know, I'm here to be like the cool aunt if it happens. I'm, you know, your father's partner. I'm really the girlfriend that minds her own business. Like, I really respect baby moms because it's not easy. And if anything, it's super important to always direct your partner in the direction of his kids. His kids come before me. You know, they come before anything else. And as his helper, I have to be very intentional in making him understand that, like, if you don't do right by them, then you're not doing right by me. So I have the biggest respect, you know, for his baby mothers. I have the biggest respect for him, you know, his children. I stay in my lane. I'm just here to be like a really cool partner and, you know, his sunshine on the other side of the world. But I know that there are all these other beautiful people who also exist. Mind your business, be there for your partner, respect their baby mamas, and like...
Now the men are going to be in his DM saying, hey, my guy, what did you
How
pray?
are you managing?
What did you say? What did you say to God to get a woman who knows and understands this?
Yeah.
There was a time where your look and your brand completely changed. If I were to describe it, it was almost like you were a little bit of a, in inverted commas, tomboy type of an artist. And then Gigi one day, how giddy heels, kimuriri. When did you, and if it was even a conscious decision, decide I want to change up my look? And I know for us in this industry is you have more than one voice that is participating in how we're going to sell this brand, how we're going to sell this music. What was it for you that changed?
I think my growth route came very early, came very early. Like, I mean, very late. I've always been a tomboy, so I've got big brothers.
Yeah.
And I learned this girly thing, and I liked it. You know, I liked femininity. I realized that being feminine and being a woman is also like a superpower. And I think it was just growing out of, like, you know, when you have friends and they're like, Chumi, but you've got such a nice body. Like, why do you, you know, or you know, just, wow, like that looks really nice on you, like the blush or, you know, on your skin. And so I kind of grew into it, even though I'm not always proud of how I navigated it. Because at some points I felt like I pushed the boundary, like I pushed it too hard, where it was like, yo, okay, that's a bit risky. Yeah, that's like too much meat. Yeah, that's too much meat. Coming back over the years and becoming who I am now, I think fits it, you know. What I love still, you know, I still like the little pixies, I still like the tomboy stuff, but obviously in doses. And do I like heels? Yeah, with a little bit of spike tomboy, you know, going on, rock star stuff going on. So I've managed to find that balance. But honestly, for me, it was because Nkule It's like I came into my true form very late as a girl because I was always surrounded by boys. Worst part now, you're a female rapper. So it's really like, yo. And then, you know, you have friends saying, but you look nice in this. And then one day you decide to buy something, you stand in front of the mirror and you're like, oh, wow, I like this. So, yeah.
And then it went from there.
And I think now, I mean, people are feeling like I'm covering up a bit more. And it's that
she
time,
is evolving.
I'm evolving. And there's nothing wrong with constantly changing too. You know, until it fits you. And worse, when you're creative, one day you like black, the next you like pink. It's absolutely okay. Do you. As long as you're not hurting anyone, do you.
In terms of, you know, being a rapper, and it sucks that we are still in an era of having to say being a female rapper.
Yes.
And I do hope at some point we get past
over that,
right? But being a female rapper in South Africa at the moment, what is the one sentence you'd use to describe what the experience is like, especially taking into consideration what hip-hop is doing right now, what the culture is, also the female rappers abroad. So one sentence, being a rapper who happens to be a woman in South Africa today is?
Or means?
Means, yes.
That I was part of multiplying. I look today at, you know, when we started, I think I was the youngest. There was a Nadia, there was a Rouge, there was Nomuzi also who came out slightly afterwards.
Yes.
And we were like the first to be in mainstream.
Yes.
And looking at how many options young people have now, like the 2Ks, like there's a D Koala, there's a K Kid, you know, there's so many girls that you can now mention. And it's like, yo, guys, it was never like this, you know. So being part of why our kingdom, our movement has become what it is, and meeting young girls will say, yo, when I was young, I was like, I used to listen to your stuff, meaning yo, like now they're calling me Sis Gigi, you know, which means that we did what we needed to do. Initially, when we started, we were all in competition. We were all trying to get the bacon. We all felt that, you know, it was important to be put against each other. And I think now when we meet up, you'll notice that a lot of us are now doing collaborations together. We're working together.
Love to see it.
Right?
Yes.
And you're sitting there and you're like, yo, guys, like there's so many girls to choose from now.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just so grateful that I've been part of something that literally became history for South African hip hop.
The one thing that Sizwe mentioned is the quiet parts that you don't advertise in terms of being a businesswoman. What are some of the things that you do in your businesses, and how is that adjusting or changing the trajectory of your career?
Yeah. So people who don't know, I actually grew up selling in a Spaza.
Yes.
Loved that. Loved it so much.
Because you were eating the stock.
No.
Babes, obviously. No Jali Zimba.
Actually, do you know what I was doing? I would buy my own sweetie.
Yes.
And I would sell them without my parents knowing. So basically like placement. Then I'd be like, no, have these. These are like really nice. You know, I know you want those, but like have these. And that's actually how I first bought my first album, T.I. Paper Trail. I remember.
Really?
Yeah. And then I'd go and I'd work in the salon, Sonia Krina as well. I was too young to work at the tavern at the back.
Yes.
But I would literally go between a saloon, Tina City saloon.
Yes.
And then I'd wash the hair and do the cornrows, and then somebody else would do whatever. And then, or I'd be working in the Spaza. So like entrepreneurial skills has always kind of been part of, I wouldn't say it's innate, but it's definitely like been acquired over the years. So now I'm in healthcare. I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. Also because my family, I was the one who didn't do medicine. I was the one who didn't, you know, but I have a very strong mind for business. My latest baby is my IV drip store.
Yes.
Out in Sandton. Very proud of that. So Musi was actually out there yesterday. And
Tell us the name. Plug.
Sorry. I didn't know I was allowed to.
No, you're allowed to.
Ivy Zeal Vitamin Therapy Lounge.
Yes.
We're opposite Planet Fitness.
Yes.
So anyone who knows Saints, we're literally next door to Saints.
Yes.
And it's, everything. Your jet fuels, your NADs. There's something very popular called NAD. Skin glows, jump starts, immune boosters, you name it.
Yes.
That's where we're at. And then the other part of it is, just something completely different. We help healthcare professionals find jobs, basically. So
damn,
that is what we're doing right now, outside of, and it makes me happy. It makes me happy. I think it's nice to change lives.
In terms of your journey as an artist, recording artist in particular.
Yeah.
At one point you were with Mabala Noise.
Yeah.
At one point you were with Ambitious. I'm curious about what those experiences were like for you, because in my mind, I don't know why, you just always struck me as an independent.
I really believe you.
No, like you really did.
I didn't know.
You struck me as and I can't even say what it is specifically, but I think it's the fact that you are always thinking bigger picture, whereas many artists are thinking like just about the music.
Yeah.
You are always thinking bigger picture, and I see it in how you market yourself. But what was the Mabala Noise experience like, the Ambitious Records experience like?
For one, I made lifelong friends. Definitely, I made lifelong friends. But I think you're right. I felt that I was, in hindsight, I do feel like I was a bit suppressed. I could have done so much more.
Yeah.
With the vision that I had, my voice. I remember the actual CEO of Ambitious saying to me, when you're done with music, I have a position for you any day, like with management or doing something with PR or, whatever it is. Because believe it or not, sometimes I would engage him on the other artists and things that would be really cool to do for the other artists, So, yeah, I definitely should have walked the indie routes a long time ago. But I was taught a lot of things. I was taught about bookings. I was taught about, branding. I was taught about marketing.
Yeah.
Many, many things. I was even taught about how important it was to have things that were your own. So I can proudly say that, I made sure that going into those labels, there was no advance that would have put me in a bad position. I didn't take anyone's cars. I didn't borrow money. My mother literally said she forbade that. Like, she's like, that's not happening. She'd forbidden it. And I could then, navigate it's music, bookings, payment. That's what it was. And I learned that very quickly. So Mabala definitely learned about gigging, nightlife, networking, putting together a brand. And I think Ambitious was definitely the A&Ring,
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't like to speak on a collective experience of people and situations. I don't think that's fair. I'm genuinely somebody who just is not really good with going with the crowd. I mean, we did have our differences, and that's why we aren't together right now. But they were solely based on the fact that I just felt like I wanted to do more, and they wouldn't have been able to help me do all the things that I'm doing now.
So where are you now in terms of label, publishing house, and all of those things?
So self-published, own label. We're actually preparing for a Euro tour. So Gigi Lamayne is rebranding. I'll be out in London and Berlin. That's confirmed.
Yes.
At some really, really cool venues, rolling out from the 1st of July.
Nice.
And it's going to be a different type of Gigi. I don't want to say too much, but I do play instruments. I do other things, and we've decided.
Tell us about the instruments.
You have to see it to believe it. But it's some rapping with some additional things happening.
Yes.
We're looking to put on a show. I think I've come to a point in my life where I do feel that South Africa has done so much for me. And I'm so thankful. And I'm going to be working with Paradise. They're a German-based company. And we've decided to just take on this new adventure, meet new people. We literally just finished the project.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that, beyond the hip-hop project.
Yes.
And now we're selling Africa to the world. There's no time to be African like now. I think we're really cool, and I think we have a lot to offer. And I just needed something different.
name me 3 dream collabs. One has to be South African.
3 dream collabs. One has to be South African. I would love to do something with Zonke, but I know that she would punish me with her fee. She's so scary. So my other hustle is that I also book artists.
For real?
For corporates. So every time they ask for a Zonke, I'm like, are you sure?
Can you
I can
afford?
go get it, but like, yo, Zonke. So, I've grown to like her more because I can't get her. So definitely a Zonke collaboration. And then probably like, this one is different. Salif Keita, I'd love to work with Salif. Ooh. I think, I know, right?
Look at me getting
big
goosebumps.
dreams.
I'm like,
imagine his voice and the rapping and just like, African instrument, like I'm seeing that in my head. And definitely black coffee.
Ooh.
I would love to do something with black coffee as well.
That one's, how?
You think so?
Not to someone no more. How? I think I don't think any of the things you've mentioned are like not within your reach.
Thank you.
I don't think they are not within your reach.
All right.
For reals, like I genuinely feel that way, because even if you had said Megan Thee Stallion, even if you had said any other artist, like there is no better time to be a thriving South African artist, an African artist in music at this moment. I feel like pretty much anything is possible. Anything really is possible.
I receive.
Amen.
I receive.
Amen. So how are you managing the part of running businesses and being a creative? Because you are very much left and right brained, and many people struggle with that part. I'm already seeing the benefit of the fact that when you do your art, you don't have to necessarily compromise yourself for money, because you have other things that are doing that for you.
I have the most amazing team. I have the most amazing people working with me. God sense, headstrong. We butt heads a lot, but when I'm not there, like they literally come to the forefront, and it's like I was there all along. So I do believe that it is because of that collective conscience that we have as a team, where we look at something and it's not Gigi is us. Gigi Lamayne is a lot of people. Yeah. So when you say anything good or bad about Gigi Lamayne, you're not just saying it about me. Like, you're saying it about like a good amount of people that would ultimately go to war for me. So I think it's just an amazing team, hey? Like, sometimes I look at some of them and I'm like, I wish I could do that, Yeah. For instance, my management literally put together a style board for me yesterday. And when you look at something and you're like, how come I didn't, all the ideas I sent to the group were just like mid. But when she sent it, she's in her 20s, she's thinking very differently. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I wish I came up with that. But beyond that selfish thoughts, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I've actually got like the best people around me.
This is why they say, and Lebuma Tosa also used to say this, always make sure you're surrounded by people who are better than you or smarter than you in their field, so that you can keep learning and growing.
Yep.
What is the future looking like for Gigi Lamayne? And this can be career, can be love life, can be anything. Could be even going back for more studies.
So there is something in the pipeline in terms of TV. I don't want to say too much, but yeah.
Is it reality?
I can't say anything. Excuse me. I feel like that was the spirit coming in, like, you lying. Okay. But TV, I can't really say anything. Yeah, but I just gave you an exclusive on that. So there is something that people can expect. Musically, I have mentioned we have the Euro tour, the Euroconnect tour coming up with Paradise Systems. Really excited about that. And just a lot of expansion, business. And I am currently on a journey to locating a new addition to some of my CSR projects. So initially I had Itembeni Children's Home with the Salvation Army. Toddlers ranging from 0 to 2 years. And I'm looking for a home, particularly girls, teenage girls who are coming into the world. I'm looking to become somewhat of a big sister there, getting some of, other big sisters in the industry to come in and, maybe have a fun day or two in a year. see what we can do, see what we can share. But ultimately, I think my sight right now is on that. I'm really trying to live a life of purpose as much as I can. And like I said, what you did for me, I need to do for other people.
In terms of your spirituality, I know we've spoken about God and choosing to, get baptized. What has that journey been like for you of exploring all of your spirituality and belief systems?
It's been hard. It's been hard because we do live in a world of flesh where we do make mistakes. We're constantly learning. I find myself in positions where I wrong people, and I need to learn not to hide behind the Bible just because I've wronged someone. Yes. The Bible is not a manual to make you feel better. It's a manual to make you self-correct. So I think for me, that self-correction thing is something I am learning about every day. And I'm trying to implement as much as I can just to become a better version of myself. I really want to find myself as an old woman one day who just smiles for no reason and bakes biscuits and just entertains all the kids around me, and just my soul is just so pure. I want somebody to say one day, "Oh, Granny Gigi was such a nice granny."
So you want to be a mom?
Yes. Well, it can be to my kids, but to other kids as well. Just for people to look at me one day, the same way I've experienced some of, Abokoko growing up, and you're just like, wow, she was such a warm, lovely lady.
Yeah.
I think for me, I really want to become that person. That's my self-actualization.
Okay. And I think it's fair what you're saying about the self-correcting part, because it's such an ongoing journey that one goes through. In closing, what would you like to share with everybody?
I would like to share that I am super thankful for the podcasting world. I know that in the mainstream, we love the mainstream, but you guys would have never seen Gigi like this here, where I'm able to share so much, where I'm able to really break down what you guys see on social media and give you the real me. So I'm super grateful to you and the team as well for giving me that opportunity. This is, I think, the first podcast that I've felt has really delved into who I am. Since I've been in 10 years, it's not a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So getting onto a podcast and somebody actually wanting to know who you are, for me, I think is the prize. So thank you to you guys, and hopefully ChatGPT and the friends will do the things. Who is Gigi Lamayne? They'll pull up this podcast first. I said
it shall.
So just a huge shout out to the podcasting world. I'm also part of the community. I'm a diligent watcher, and to more things happening, and to you as somebody who is my sister in a very, very difficult time, I won't be emotional. And seeing how things have come so 360, I'm sitting here thinking, what, this person deserves a very nice big chair at my wedding or something nice happening to me, because you saw it. You saw me when I was down. I didn't know how to maneuver, and you helped me. You really, really helped me. I remember some of the things you said. I remember the letter. I remember the pack and the marshmallows and everything that was in there.
Also, do you remember your sister being like, "That's mine"?
That's mine, And I take such joy in seeing women fixing each other's crowns. And thank you for being consistent in that, Relebogile. And if no one has ever given you your flowers, I'm giving them to you now. But I know that there's so many women who speak so highly of you in the industry, and I really hope you don't change.
I'm not gonna cry. Thank you. I am so proud of you.
Thank
and
you.
I just love where you are, mentally, psychologically, energy-wise. And I just, listen, all that's going to happen is you're going to keep rising. So keep that good head on your shoulders.
Thank you.
And all the best. We are so rooting for you, and I'm exceptionally proud of you. Thank you for coming. Oh, Gigi Lamayne, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the notification bell. And just shout out to everybody who keeps watching this podcast. We will keep doing it for as long as you guys keep loving it. Don't forget to let us know in the comments down below who you'd like to see on this podcast. And if you've got questions for Ms. Gigi Lamayne, put them down below as well, and she'll be answering you. Thank you so much for coming through. Bye. Till next time.